guy on first base.
That's right.
Okay.
All right.
What's the guy's name on first base?
So what is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on third?
I don't know.
Oh, he's on third. We're not talking about him.
Welcome back to our divisional previews / grading / talk about their offseason, basically. Today we're doing the NL Central. With me is Ollie. Say hi.
Hi.
And Barney.
Hello.
And my name is Twan. And today we're talking about arguably one of the most boring divisions. It's not going to be the worst. It's not going to be the best. And I guess that's what makes it kind of boring.
It's going to be a consistently okay division.
Which is not very interesting to look at.
No.
I guess. All right.
It'll be interesting to see who comes into the playoffs out of this dumpster fire. Although not even a dumpster fire. Like, a dumpster fire is interesting to look at.
I think that there could actually be an interesting playoff race in this division. Unfortunately, it won't be for like a
mess.
It's not even that. It's just it's
feel
going to
like
be a bunch of okay teams in the Pirates.
The only way I can see it become like relatively interesting is if the Pirates make a Cinderella run.
Yeah.
I think it could be interesting just to see who does make it into the wild card, or not the wild card, the playoff spot for the division. I mean, like a tight competition is still a tight competition, even if it's not with super good records. And I wouldn't expect any of these teams to necessarily make a deep run in the playoffs, but it could be interesting come late August to see, if there is like a three-way race for who actually like makes it into playoffs.
No. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the first team then. Last year's division winner, the Cubs. They finished with a 34-26 record. Ollie, can you tell me a little bit about their offseason? Who did they lose? Who they got back?
They lost a lot of big names here. So they lost Jason Kipnis, Jose Quintana, Tyler Chatwood, Billy Hamilton, Daniel Descalso, Albert Almora Jr., Kyle Schwarber, Yu Darvish, Victor Caratini, and a few more. And in return, they picked up Jonathan Holder, Zack Davies in a trade, Austin Romine, Trevor Williams, Jock Peterson, the corpse of Jake Arrieta, Brandon Workman for a yikes amount of money, and Jake Marisnick in center.
Yeah, the yikes is just because it's any money. I don't see how any team was willing to pay Brandon Workman for his services. But how does that impact their roster, Barney?
So their starting nine is still pretty decent. They're projected to have it led off by Ian Happ in center field, then have their catcher Wilson Contreras batting in the 2 spot, first baseman and franchise player Anthony Rizzo in the 3 spot, followed by Chris Bryant, their third baseman, other franchise player, I suppose. In the 5 spot, they'll have their newly acquired left fielder Jock Peterson, Javi Baez, their shortstop, batting after him, Jason Hayward, their right fielder in the 7 hole, and finally their second baseman Nico Horner. A lot of big names, a lot of World Series champions on that list.
Yeah, the core is still there.
Yeah.
This is their last year, I think, for pretty much all of them. Let me just check.
Did Rizzo sign an extension?
No, he's a free agent after this year.
Ian Happ still has 3 years of service time, it looks like, as does Wilson Contreras.
Contreras has some.
Contreras has another 2 years, sorry.
Brian is a free agent after this year.
Yeah.
So basically they're infield.
Mm-hmm.
Also with Javi Baez.
Javi Baez is going to be part of the big class of shortstops in the next free agent round.
Yeah, definitely.
Names I want to point out on the bench is they have bottom of the 9th inning legend David Bodie, who hit the game-winning 2-out grand slam in the bottom of the 9th, down 3 at some point. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
I think it's like 2018, 2019.
Right. And they also have
right,
legendary glasses man Eric Sogard, general utility player.
Their starting rotation has a couple big names and several not so big names. So in their 1 spot in the rotation, they're projected to have Kyle Hendrix again, who is an excellent pitcher, followed by Jake Arrieta, who has been an excellent pitcher. They're following that up with Zack Davies, Alec Mills, and Trevor Williams.
So I would kind of disagree with Jake Arrieta having been an excellent pitcher. I feel like he had like 2 to 3 very, very good years, but his time with the Phillies has been like a full-on disappointment, unfortunately. So
He really peaked in 2015 when he won Cy Young, and that was about it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
anyone who's won a Cy Young, though, can be described as has been an excellent pitcher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
has been. I wouldn't necessarily like talk about him as being a star pitcher right now.
No,
Of
but he
course,
has
they
a track
also
record of being a great Cubs pitcher.
yeah. See, yes, he was excellent for the Cubs. That's good. Of course, they do like they did kind of get rid of their ace. So
Yep.
Yu Darvish went to the Padres in exchange for, amongst others, Zack Davies, who is in the rotation now, and some other names, prospects. It's kind of weird because it was kind of like a salary dump. It kind of seemed like it was maybe signaling the start of a rebuild, but then they did keep all their other pieces that they were only keeping for one more year around, while also adding Jock Peterson, amongst others.
It kind of seems like they're trying to just sneak into the playoffs on the loosest of things, and then just like, because the MLB playoffs can be a crapshoot, win another World Series that way before just not having to pay anybody anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they still do have a lot of good players on their team. And just looking at the rankings right now, I didn't realize that Zack Davies was actually ranked 28th overall among pitchers, according to Fangraphs at least.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so maybe we're just sleeping on him.
He's only projected for a 4.64 ERA though.
Yeah, but he did have
That's
a
weird.
ridiculous year last year.
Yeah,
He got a 2.73 ERA in like 70 innings. Had a
Okay,
1.4 WAR.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
Kyle
that's
Kyle
good.
Hendrix, I don't think that we should undersell Kyle Hendrix either.
Oh no, definitely not.
Like he was in the National League Cy Young conversation for like the last couple of years, so he's a great pitcher.
Yeah, Kyle Hendricks is actually one of my favorite pitchers because he doesn't throw that hard as all the other dudes in the league these days. I feel like all the premium pitchers these days like all throw like 98, 99, or at least somewhere in like 95 plus. And then you got Kyle Hendricks, who's like just like pitching it at what's it, like 89 maybe?
Is it that low?
I'm
I thought he was like
checking his
92s or
velocity now.
something.
No, he's sitting real low.
Even lower than that.
He touched 90, but the last time he did so looks like it was October of 2018.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
I knew he was a low velo guy.
Oh, no.
I didn't realize it was that low.
Yeah, no, his average fastball is sitting around 88 miles an hour.
All right.
And that's interesting, like in this day and age. And I think that maybe like kind of could play, like give him an advantage in the sense that he's like one of those starting pitchers that in an age where everybody's throwing 95, 96, 97, he kind of throws you off guard because he throws only 88. And he just uses his fastball really well. He's a sinker baller. And then he has a changeup and a curveball. So he's a very, like, I like him as an ace.
Yeah,
for
he's
the
a really
Cubs.
interesting pitcher.
Yeah, and then I think, but it kind of drops off after that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and just to talk about the bullpen briefly, there's really not that much to talk about other than their closer, Craig Kimbrell.
Yeah.
And, of course, accidental Hall of Fame vote getter Ryan Tepera.
I would say it was an MVP vote.
Oh, sorry,
Not
not
a Hall of Fame.
sorry, not Hall of Fame.
Active
Now that-
player with it.
Sorry, guys, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Accidental
Yeah, it's
MVP vote getter, thanks
Yeah.
to a boomer moment.
Yeah, it's a fun story, I guess, to quickly discuss. So Ryan Tepera is a adequate reliever for the Chicago Cubs. He pitched to like just below a 4 ERA last year. And somehow a St. Louis writer gave him a 10th place MVP vote last year, as he was actually trying to give it to Trey Turner. But then something with the drop-down menu, as he was trying to issue his vote, something went wrong, and he gave it to Ryan Tepera instead. So Ryan Tepera is now officially a MVP vote getter for the rest of his career. It's more than a lot of other relievers can say, I guess.
Yeah.
Suppose so.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on these dudes? Like, yeah, it's pretty much there. Like, big ass lineup with a lot of underperforming pieces last year. Chris Bryant only hit like what was it? I think Rizzo hit like 200, and then Bryant hit like 220.
Yeah, they had a really
year.
underwhelming 2020, and it's hard to we go both ways for like talking about 2020 stats or saying it's hard to really count them. So I think that it's hard to project that forward into a full season.
Yeah.
These guys have been historically really, really good. They're also picking up a World Series champion, Jock Peterson, fresh off getting a ring.
That's true.
So they do have positive pickups. If Jake Arrieta performs this year, like that's a good look. I don't think he'll be able to make up for Yu Darvish being amazing, but like it's not necessarily like a guaranteed tank or anything.
No. Jason Hayward's also still there, who kind of figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think they're setting themselves up to compete in what's going to be a weak division.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're projected to be at fourth place in the division as well.
Yeah. So
although there's a lot of projections coming in at roughly the same number of wins, so I think that this will be like kind of a toss-up of a division.
Yeah. So we got the over/unders at 78.5. Ollie, what do you got?
Man,
over/under.
I really don't know. I think it could go either way. Any of the four teams in the running for this division could just fall apart and hand wins to a different team. So I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't think that there's like a
don't
clear
bet in the NL Central.
Yeah,
No.
I don't think there's a clear winner. I think that like we were discussing right at the beginning, there could be some interesting competition because I think that these teams are pretty evenly matched amongst one another, even if they're not evenly matched at the top of baseball competition. But I kind of put like all of these teams as like looking at a 500 game or a 500 season. So maybe the Cubs
about right. So you got the over on the Cubs then.
Yeah, but just by a hair.
Just by a hair. Okay. Yeah, I'm also thinking they will probably outperform. Like they'll get like 79 wins, 80 to 81 wins, and I could see them make a run for it. I could also see them not having a bad start and then trading away all their pieces that are on 1-year deals still. So could be interesting to maybe see all those guys at different teams. All right.
Yep.
On to second place team last year who suffered, who went in with a lot of high expectations into the playoffs and then didn't score a single run in 2 games.
Yeah, it was brutal,
the
including
Braves.
that, 13-inning first game against the Braves.
That was painful to watch.
Pitched 8 scoreless innings.
With 13 Ks.
Yeah, and they just couldn't put up a run. It was brutal.
It was of course your Cincinnati Reds that we're talking about, who got second place in the division with a 31-29 record. Ollie, again, what did their offseason look like?
Well, the big name they lost was Trevor Bauer. They're not going to be able to replace that kind of production. Anthony Desclafani.
Yes.
That threw me for a loop. Iron Man, Freddie Galvis, Archie Bradley, Tyler Thornburg, Brian Goodwin, and Raisel Iglesias, who we've talked about in a previous episode of the show. And in return, they picked up Ryan Doolittle, Kyle Holder, Jeff Hoffman, and Noe Ramirez.
Yeah.
Is that a 2-syllable first name?
It's also Sean Doolittle, I think.
What did I say?
Ryan.
Why did I say Ryan? I'm so tired.
I think because of Ryan Tepera.
Yeah, it is Sean Doolittle. My bad.
It's good.
I swear at some point I'll learn how to read.
Sure. Yeah, so Sean Doolittle and then a bunch of other dudes. I think that kind of sums it up. Barney, what does that mean for their roster?
Yeah,
their
so
lineup
the front half of their lineup is looking pretty decent. They're projected to have their left fielder, Jesse Winkler, lead off, followed by their right fielder, Nick Castellanos. Their first baseman, Joey Vado, who is apparently indicated to be on the COVID-19 list right now. That's not great.
Ooh,
Joey, get better.
Good.
Yeah. Eugenio Suarez, their third baseman, is batting in cleanup. And then they have a little bit of a drop-off in terms of power ranking their players. Their second baseman, Mike Moustakas, is batting in the 5 hole. Nick Senzel, the center fielder, in the 6. Kyle Farmer in 7, and Tucker Barnhart, the catcher, at 8.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it wasn't mentioned here. They did also pick up D. Strange Gordon over the offseason.
Yeah, on the minor league deal. I guess that's why I didn't put it in there.
Yeah. Oh, is he on a minor league deal?
Yeah.
He's a non-roster invitee to spring training.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, he's had a tough couple of years.
Yeah. Would you say strange couple of years?
No, just tough.
All right, just tough. Okay.
Yeah,
their lineup looks like it could be good.
I think that's going to be a theme that we talk about a lot here. It's like there are good players, and like we're not talking about like bad teams here.
No, definitely not. I think like the spot that they probably got the biggest hits in the offseason is their pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to be a theme.
Yeah.
Like we're going to have a bunch of strong or strong-ish lineups and just no depth at pitching.
No.
Yeah. So speaking of the projected starting rotation for the Reds, Luis Castillo, who is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Mahle, Wade Miley, Michael Lorenzen, and TJ Antoine, Anthony. I don't know.
I think it's Antone. It's Antone. I'm not sure.
I would have gone with Anthony, but
Really?
Anatone.
who?
I don't know.
Antone.
Yeah, Antone. Is that what we're going with?
Sure.
Hold on.
TJ Antone. That's what we're calling him.
Yeah. The big name here is, of course, Luis Castillo, who is their remaining ace pitcher after losing Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, there were rumors in the offseason that he was traded to the Yankees. At a certain point, it seemed like a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
I do recall. And everybody got really excited because then the Yankees would have been legit World Series contender. They're pretty.
They still are legit World Series.
They still are, but I think that would have like pushed them over the hump of being like, okay, they're probably gonna run away with the AL.
Yeah.
East.
Maybe the entire American League. But Luis Castillo is a great pitcher, but unfortunately, the rotation seems to lack some depth.
Yeah, there's two names on the injured list though that we could talk about. Brandon Bailey, who has Tommy John, so maybe he won't be getting back this year.
Surgery date is late February this year. He's not coming back.
He's not coming back. And then we got Sonny Gray. So Sonny Gray is like also one of the top 30 pitchers in the league.
Once he's back from back soreness, he'll definitely slot into the top half of that rotation.
Oh, definitely.
And he'll be a big help. And I think their rotation looks a lot better with Sonny Gray in it then. It kind of makes it a little bit
not painful.
Yeah.
Less painful, yeah.
It definitely adds a little bit of depth.
Yeah. This team isn't that like it's set up to do something. It's kind of weird that they traded away arguably one of their best relievers in Raisel Iglesias. But maybe they had a good reason to do that.
Who knows?
I don't know. A lot of teams did some weird things this offseason that we can't always explain what they're doing and why they're doing it.
As far as I know, the 4 teams that are actually competing in the NL Central are just kind of playing a game of roster chicken. Like, hey, I'll get rid of guys if you do, until somebody hits rock bottom and they're all the Pirates.
Yeah, because even the Pirates traded away a bunch of dudes.
Oh God.
So,
Don't.
All right, we'll get back. We'll get to
We'll get to the black hole of baseball that is the Pirates later.
Yeah. So one thing that's worth noting is that the Reds don't seem to have a lot of guys in their farm system who are expected to come up and perform really well this year, which is kind of a mark against them. I think that's worth noting. The highest rank I'm seeing looking through their farm system right now is 49th overall in MLB pipeline, and that's
Jose Garcia.
Yeah,
that's just not good.
Their only player in the top 100, so that's not a great sign. So we could see these guys like making some moves for prospects around the trade deadline.
They also got Nick.
Is Tyler Stephenson not ranked 77th?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't see him down in the.
And then Hunter Green at 100 exactly. So like those are the top 3 prospects, and that's not ideal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I guess they kind of had their window last year. Everything was built towards making a run last year, and it kind of closed on them really quickly again.
Yeah, no, it just did not
unfortunately.
happen.
So, and now they got a bunch of money stuck in Castellanos and Moustakis. Joey Vado, of course, still on a big contract. He's almost 38.
How long is
37
this contract
years.
still?
I feel like until 40, no? Let's just have a look.
That
I had
sounds
no
right.
idea Joey Votto was already
Old?
37.
Yeah.
There's
He's been around
a
for a while.
there's
Yeah,
a
no, Joey-
2024 club option, so they can
Okay.
pick him up for his 40th year.
Good God.
Yeah,
But Joey
That's-
Votto's like still good.
Yeah,
yeah.
like he's not flirting with 400 on base percentage anymore, but yeah.
No,
Sold
but like
354 last year,
He's
so.
known for being like one of, if not the most disciplined batters in Major League Baseball.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's been able to carry him into like not falling off a cliff like some of the older players have.
Yeah,
So-
he had looks like he had a mediocre year. Well, for walks at least. Like he still just got hits in 2019.
He was still worth WRC plus of 114, so he's like 14%.
Yeah.
14%.
What is WRC
He-
plus one?
Yeah, good. I was just about to say it's a weighted runs created plus. So just like OPS plus, it's kind of like a all-encompassing stat just to see how good you are offensively. Where 100 is the average, and anything like, for example, like right here, Joey Votto's WRC plus is 114, means that he's 14% better than an average player in the league.
Yeah, specifically at run creation, not at
Yes.
like getting on base or
No.
like that kind of stuff.
No. All right. The over-under for the Reds is 81.5. Ollie, what you got?
Under.
Under.
I think they're a 500 team at best. Same with the rest of this division.
All right, Barney?
Yeah, so I guess over because I have all of these teams at 8. Or no, I guess under by a little. I have all of these
Yeah.
teams at 81 wins, 81 losses.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the under.
But yeah, the thing is, I think more than most of the other teams, I have the Reds for being probably the most likely team to sell a lot of people at the trade deadline and try to like rebuild their farm system.
Yeah, because they need to.
Yeah, so I think that if the season is not looking their way, or like I don't think that they're going to be in a realistic position to look like they're going to compete for a deep playoff run, especially with some of the other powerhouses that are in the National League. So I could see them selling stock at the trade deadline.
All right.
In which case they'd come in at like maybe 70 wins.
Yep.
All right.
All right, let's talk about one of the two teams that actually did make an effort to become a better team than the year before.
Mm-hmm.
The St. Louis Cardinals, who were I think the only team that didn't get to play 60 games eventually.
Mm-hmm.
They finished with a 30-28 record. They were out. They missed a lot of games due to COVID and couldn't catch up with all of them before the end of the season.
Wouldn't that did they replace the 2 games for the other team?
I don't know what they did. I think eventually it all came down to just win percentage.
Yeah, I don't know how it exactly
Yeah, so I guess
works.
they did replace it because otherwise you would have to have 2 other teams with 59.
Yeah, it could be.
Because right now there's a missing game from the Cardinals against themselves, which doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Someone in the comments tell us how that happened.
Yeah, exactly. So they got in as their as the first wildcard team. The Brewers were the second wildcard team, if I'm not mistaken, and we're gonna get to them later on. Ollie, tell me about their offseason. I think it's not as much deals were made as in the other teams,
No.
but they did make the biggest deal, one of the biggest deals of the offseason. So
I think they have the weirdest deal of the offseason.
They have the
Yes.
weirdest deal of the offseason. So they lost Matt Wieters, Brad Miller, Colton Wong, and Dexter Fowler. Some of those names have some really big production that they're trying to pick up again. And what they did to pick that up is they picked up Adam Wainwright. They picked up they re-signed Yadier Molina. Sorry, they re-signed Adam Wainwright. They re-signed Yadier Molina, and then the Rockies kindly asked them to take Nolan Arenado and $50 million from them, which
so weird.
is a mind-boggling move.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado being like maybe the best third baseman in Major League Baseball. Like just a phenomenal play. I know there are a lot of really good third basemen right now.
There's a brand new Foolish Baseball out about the Nolan Arenado trade specifically. Go watch that for.
And
I watched that this morning.
And how the Rockies stink.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll
get to that next episode.
Yeah. So the Arenado deal is kind of like a microcosm that's symbolic for just how awfully bad the Rockies have been run the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that's been beaten to death, so we don't need to spend too much time on it, but the Cardinals got the winning end of that trade. They picked up one of the best players in baseball and $50 million.
Yeah. All right. What does that mean for their roster then?
Yeah, so they are projected to be led off by their second baseman, Tommy Edman. Then their first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, who has had a storied career so far. Then Nolan Arenado in the third spot. Paul DeJong at shortstop, batting fourth. Dylan Carlson in right field after him. Yadier Molina, their forever catcher. What is he going into, like his 17th season with the Cardinals or something?
Yeah. I think 18th.
Just absurd.
He's got 16 years of MLB service time. So that'd be 16.100 games. So that'd be his 18th season probably.
Yeah. He's been the catcher for the Cardinals forever. Left fielder Tyler O'Neill in the 7th spot, and center fielder Harrison Bader in the 8th spot. So what do you guys think of this lineup? They are projected to be the best team in the NL Central.
So the thing about this Cardinals team, I think, is just mighty consistent. This is going to be a team that's like not going to wow you in terms of run production, but is going to score like enough runs every evening to give you a fighting shot.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guys they have in the corner infield, like Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, those two can pretty much rival any other like 1-2 punch in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Goldschmidt is able to bounce back. I think he had a pretty bad year last year. Defensively, they're also pretty good. I think Goldschmidt is one of the best defensive first basemen, and Arenado is one of it was certainly maybe the best defensive third baseman.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that they gave up Colton Wong. I would have liked to have seen.
Goldschmidt had a down 2019, but he put together a 146 WRC plus last year.
All right, so he was pretty good last year. I would have liked to see them having kept Colton Wong, but Tommy Edman seems to be a decent bat as well. So
yeah, overall the Cardinals didn't seem like they were very active on the free agent market, which was kind of strange.
No, they just re-signed their guys.
Yeah, they do, I think, have the most starting pitching depth in the division.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
They got Jack Flaherty, Adam Wainwright, Kwon Hyun Kim, Carlos Martinez, and John Gant. So that's at least the top 3 great pitchers.
Yeah, I think an argument can be made for the Brewers for having starting pitching depth, but we'll get to those guys in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Their bullpen has a lot of dudes. Maybe let's shortly talk about Jordan Hicks, because I don't know if you guys saw it, but he had a 22-pitch at-bat against...
Oh, yeah.
Who was it? Who was it that was hitting?
Guillorme.
Guillorme, I think, from the Mets. And the thing about that was that Jordan Hicks had a pitch limit or something.
He pitched to one batter.
Yeah, so basically he only got to pitch to Guillorme, who took him like 22 pitches deep and then got a walk.
Walked on the 22nd pitch.
Walk. Oh, man.
After going 0-2 in that at-bat, by the way.
Yeah, he swung on a slider that was nasty. Jordan Hicks is also one of the hardest throwers in the league. It's maybe good to point that out as well.
For reference, the longest at-bat in any major league game not in spring training is 21 pitches, so this would have set a record during the regular season.
And then they kindly decided to pull him from the game.
God, can you imagine that you have like Can you imagine you had like a 20 pitch limit and they were like, "All right, no, 20 pitches is 20 pitches. You're coming out."
Yeah. Dude, but
middle of this one batter.
I'll get the next guy. I promise.
Get the next guy. 50
Are they allowed to
pitches
be
later.
both mid-at-bat in spring training games?
Oh, no. Ooh. I think technically no, but umpires don't give a shit. So,
Yeah.
or actually, umpires do give a shit because I think the Cubs and the Cleveland baseball team played the bottom of the ninth, despite the Indians being ahead. Sorry, Cleveland baseball team being ahead, and the umpires just left. So they just played.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just played a bottom of the ninth with
They're
nobody
like-
there.
This is the line.
Spring
Stupid
training is
spring-
silly.
Stupid spring training.
Yeah, no, they were like,
shenanigans.
guys, the game is over. We're going home.
No, I can feel it. They also have maybe also like another quick disclaimer is that they have 2 pitchers on their injured list. Also pretty good. Dakota Hudson and Miles Mikolas. Mikolas is scheduled to get back relatively soon.
Dakota
But it might
Hudson
take a
had
while.
Tommy John in September of last year. So
we probably won't see him this year.
no.
Which is sad because he's pretty good as well. All right. The over-under for the Cardinals is at 86.5, so they're projected to win the division. Ollie, you got an over, you got an under. What you got?
I mean, going off of Fangraphs projections, I would go under because they're projected to win 79 games, same as the Brewers. But, yeah.
Okay. Barney?
I'd put them under because I have them at 81 wins and 81 losses at the end of the season.
I feel like the same as we might see everyone in the NL East have a winning record. It might be interesting to see if we can get 4 teams to get a 500 record in the NL Central.
Yeah,
So
I guess what I want is to have some teams end this season with 164 games played.
Yeah.
Because the double tiebreaker.
Yeah, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, so there is a form of watching baseball called Team Chaos. And the only goal of Team Chaos is to end the season with as many teams tied as possible. So I think that's the goal for the NL Central here.
I'm back. I'm going to swiftly move on to our next team. The Brewers. The Brewers.
Brewers of Milwaukee.
One of 2 teams to have a losing record last year and still make it into the playoffs next to...
Did they?
Yeah. They played the wild card series against the Dodgers.
Right.
They
they
were
did.
they were the team that took advantage of the fact that the Phillies went 1-8 for their last games and slipped into the postseason because of it.
Twan, what's it like being in constant pain?
Do you see me smiling?
Yes.
This is how I cope.
Okay.
All right. So 29 and 31, they finished last year. They had a off season, and Ollie's going to talk about us what they did in that off season.
So they lost previously mentioned Glasses legend Eric Sogard. They lost Jed Giorco, Corey Knebel. What?
Jerko.
Jorko?
Yeah, just Jed Jerko.
Corey Knebel, Alex Claudio, and Ben Gamel. And in return, they picked up other Glasses legend Luke Maile in free agency, Colton Wong, Derek Fisher in a trade, Brett Anderson, and the big name of this list, Jackie Bradley Jr.
Yeah, they became a lot better defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
They were already pretty good defensively because they got Lorenzo Cade in center field, and now they just added another center fielder who is arguably better defensively than him. Barney, what you got for me on their lineup now with all these moves?
Yeah, leading off, second baseman Colton Wong. Then Lorenzo Cain, center field in the 2 spot. Christian Yelich, who we can talk about a little bit later. Hopefully he bounces back this year. Left fielder in the 3 hole. Then Keston Hiura in the 4 hole at first base. Travis Shaw, even though he is a non-roster invitee, is currently projected to be their starting third baseman and batting in the 5th spot. Then
Yeah,
JBJ.
he was the starter for Toronto last year, so I would expect him to start here as well.
All right. JBJ in right field in the 6th spot. Orlando Arcia in shortstop in the 7th spot. And finally, Omar Narvaez, former Mariner, the catcher.
All right. This looks like a fun team.
The Brewers often are. I like the Brewers.
I like them too. They moved Keston Hiura from second base to first base. to have a spot for Colin Moran, which I think Castanera, like he has a very, very, very good bat. So that's a good move for them, I think. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see what Colton Wong and Jack and Bradley Jr. can like add to this team.
Yeah, I think the person that needs to be talked about a little bit here is Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
He's become kind of the poster child for people saying that we shouldn't take 2020's shortened season stats into account because he essentially was in a slump for all 60 games of it.
Yeah.
He had some
batted
times that he tried
just
to
over
pull
200.
out. Yeah. But he had a very, very bad 2020. But in 2019, people considered him, like third, fourth best player in all of MLB?
Yeah, he was definitely in that MVP conversation.
Yeah. So hopefully he's able to bounce back because he can be just an absolutely electrifying player. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I'm looking at his year-by-year stats, and we're just going to keep it with one weighted runs created plus because we've talked about that a lot. So in 2017 with the Marlins, over a full season he put together 117 weighted runs created plus. Then he jumps to a 167 and a 175 for the next 2 years, which are just god tier. And last year he drops back down to a 113, which is a little more in line with his 5 years in the MLB prior to becoming MVP worthy.
So those big seasons weren't with the Marlins, right?
No, they were both with Milwaukee.
Yeah, he became good when he left Marlins Park.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that happen before.
Or we've seen people become injured after they leave Marlins Park.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see whether it actually goes back to, or whether he continues the trend of like the 5 years before his breakout seasons, or whether he bounces back.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think the Brewers will need a healthy and good performing Yelich to like have a shot at winning the division.
Yeah,
I think he's the key for this team.
He's their linchpin.
He is the linchpin. That's exactly the word I was going to use.
All right, there we go.
All right, so they've got a couple great pitchers as well.
Yeah.
So their rotation's projected to be Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Josh Lindblom, Adrian Hauser, and Brett Anderson. Woodruff and Burns, great pitchers.
Yeah. I love those names.
Yeah. I think we should also, we haven't been talking about bullpens a lot, but we should...
we should definitely talk about
this. We should highlight this one.
We should highlight Josh Hader and Devin Williams.
Oh, my God.
Josh Hader and his hair. One of the best closers in baseball right now. I don't want to say that he's the best, but he's in that conversation.
Yeah, he's power ranked 6th overall, and Devin Williams is 3rd overall, so these are good players.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I want to talk about Devin Williams real quick. He has the legendary airbender. So Pitching Ninja is a person on Twitter who makes videos about pitchers, and he called Devin Williams' changeup the airbender, and he officially pronounced it as the nastiest pitch of the 2020 season, I think, which is all fine. I think he's a brilliant pitcher. I don't think a reliever should win Rookie of the Year. Hot take. Also because Alec Bohm finished 2nd, so I'm kind of biased. But
I think there should be an award for relievers in general, which I don't think there is at the moment.
There's a Reliever of the Year award, I think.
There is?
Yeah,
no.
There's like a closer award.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a closer award, but not like a general reliever award.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I feel like, okay, so like a shutdown reliever can have a huge impact on a team. Still, I feel like a player that plays every day has a higher impact, but that's maybe just me.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Maybe this is not really the place to have. Maybe this is not really the place to have that discussion. But I just wanted to put it out there. I feel robbed.
My thing is that that teams are some teams are moving away from like the dedicated closer role.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got like their leverage guy, and they're just putting him in wherever. It doesn't have to be the bottom of the 9th. Doesn't have to be save situation. It's just if they feel that it's a turning point in the game, then they're going to put him in. Which means that you might have very, very good relieving pitchers who are not technically closers missing out on that closer award.
All right.
But
yeah. Also worth noting, the Brewers right now have like a lot of guys that are injured. Looks like 5 guys are currently out injured, and any of them could make the 26-man roster.
Yeah.
So, a bunch of position players, 1 pitcher, and Ray Black. I don't think that any of these guys are particularly like linchpins of the team, or they're projected to be like the best players around. But there could be a lot of flux going on with this team's roster.
Yeah.
How good is Tim Lopes?
Yeah, because he used to play on the Mariners. So.
Yeah, he's a former utility guy for the Mariners, like bench utility. So yeah, he was pretty good at it. The Mariners just had a better option in Dylan Moore, so he was able to be claimed off waivers by the Brewers. But he's not a bad player by any means.
All right.
Brewers also have like a notably young roster. They're one of the teams that like their average age is pretty low. Doesn't look like anyone that I'm seeing off of their projected starting roster or rotation who's older than 31.
Yeah, there's
Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah, there's Lorenzo Cain, who's 34, almost 35.
Where's Lorenzo?
Batting second.
Oh yeah,
center fielder.
I just didn't scroll up enough for that. I knew Colton Wonnum was at the top, and he wasn't that old.
Yeah, Josh Lindblom is also 33.7.
Yeah, but he's I guess.
All right, maybe a couple guys, but certainly a lot of youth on this team.
Yeah. So, Barney, I guess you're taking the under because they're at 83.5 and you have everyone having at a 500 record. So,
Yes, sir.
Ollie, I'm just going straight to Ollie. What do you have?
I'm also
Over
going
under.
under. I'm not going to say Fangraphs is 100% right, but I do think that the projection for, not 500 teams all throughout the NL Central seems accurate to me.
All right.
So I think it's under also.
I got the over. I'm feeling it for this team. I think this
All right.
team is going to set the Central on fire in like a very sober way.
They're going to set them a smolder.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to win it and it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be like, yeah, okay. Nice. Good job, guys. All right. All right, let's talk about the real dumpster fire.
Yeah, there's one other team,
division.
but they're not good.
The Pirates.
Are we still calling them a team?
Yeah, they still are. We called the Mariners a team for so long that the Pirates get to have it.
Yeah. So what this offseason made me realize about the Pirates is that they actually still had a lot of dudes there, and they just still traded them all away. We have here a team that lost 41 games. I think the only team that lost more than 40 games. Yeah, Ollie, talk about that offseason. Mostly who they lost.
Yeah, they lost. I don't know how to pronounce that. Keone Kela.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. I don't know.
Derek Holland. They lost Chris Archer, Josh Bell, Joe Musgrove, and Jameson Taillon. And they got Endy Rodriguez in a trade and Trevor Cahill.
Kale.
Cahill.
Yeah,
I just saw that today announced.
It's kind of depressing, right?
God.
Yeah, I don't think that at least I don't have too much to say about this team because they were bad last year and they lost some of their best players. And it sucks, but they're projected to be a terrible team. And
they were a bad team. They've been a bad team for several years now, and they're just not pulling themselves up out of this dumpster fire.
Yeah.
This team needs to blow it up if they haven't
already. They need a pretty
already.
significant rebuild. And unfortunately, they have a couple good-ish prospects, but their prospects are not like so overwhelmingly good that they look like they're in a position to be good in the next couple of years either.
Just the one, right? Just Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Yeah,
Ke'Bryan
Hayes
dude.
is like their one guy because he came up and played a few games last year. Was it last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but other than that, like
they've got
their depth
Miguel
is there.
Yajure, who's ranked 114th overall, scheduled to come up this year, and that's it. They got 4 guys scheduled to come up next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but,
Barney.
yeah,
do you still want to like talk about this roster? Like, because a
gotta
bunch
love-
there's.
I gotta level
talk-
with you. I don't, because I
No.
don't know enough about most of these guys to say anything. Brian
just
Hayes
maybe-
is like the big person who's worth
Yeah.
talking about, but even him, we don't have a lot to go off of. He's just like a very well-respected third base prospect.
Yeah.
Who
Shall
was
we
able
all
to
just
play
like
a little bit.
shall we all just like pick someone or some guys that we think might be good? So
that we know something about, basically.
Yeah.
The-
So
the
for
thing
me,
is-
Yeah.
I don't know anything about most of them. Yeah, so I will jump in and say that I'm worried about the Pirates.
yeah.
And the reason for that is that they neither have depth or like big names on their current roster, or their projected roster rather. So they don't have like sort of like aging players that could be sold to teams for prospects, and they also don't have a lot of prospects. And that's a tough position for a team to be in, especially a team from a small market like Pittsburgh. So I hope that they're able to recover something and like figure out how to do a good rebuild, because I want to see the Pirates doing well again. But I just like I think that it's hard to see a clear way forward for this team, which is really a shame.
Yeah.
Definitely not short term. Outside of just selling everything and everyone off for parts and doing well in the next few drafts.
Yeah, it's a really tough position to be in, and I wish that I had more positive stuff to say.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because they had like Jameson Tyone and Garrett Cole, who were both, I think, #1 picks overall previously, and both of them haven't panned out the way that they did for the Pittsburgh Pirates specifically.
They're
Panned out for the Yankees.
Yeah, they're
their
both on
current
the Yankees now.
projected #3 hitter at first base, Colin Moran. He looks like he's been with the team for 3 years. He was a number 6 overall pick by Miami in 2013, but he's still batting like he looks to be good, but that's it.
Yeah,
He's going to be batting .260 with 20 homers.
that's still good, but that's not like
It's good.
But for a first baseman, that's pretty average.
Yeah, no, that's not going to win him any wins above replacement awards. Let's see. Gregory Polanco's been around with this team forever.
Also, former top prospect.
Yeah, but he's going to be average at best and probably a little below that. Anthony Alford's been a prospect with the Blue Jays for several years, and he just hasn't really panned out, I think, the way they wanted him to. He's good defensively, but that's it. I think there's just no spark in this offense.
No,
There's no offense. There's no real pitching.
Yeah. Shout out to Stephen Brault, who has a beautiful voice. Excellent
Oh, yeah.
singer.
That's true. Also, good podcast host.
Yeah.
Good podcast host. Maybe apparently this Richard Rodriguez guy, who is their closer, is projected to have a 3.97 ERA, which is the best in their team by stretch.
That's
But
bad for a reliever.
3.97 for a closer is not good.
That's
No, but
atrocious, actually.
Hey, who knows? Maybe this guy can like be something for them.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's they're just in a really tough position. And
Yeah.
And honestly, that's all down to management fuck-ups over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, they have fallen very, very far.
So
Yeah,
I wish the best for them moving forward, but it's going to be a tough season.
All right.
All right.
Over-under on that 58.5 wins.
I'll
Because
take
I
the
still
under.
I think it's under. I think
I'll
it's
take the
below
under.
that. They're not.
I don't think they're gonna put anything together this year.
Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna go over for them. The reason is I don't think that they're in a particularly impressive division, as we've talked about. Just like how we talked about, like a lot of these teams are okay, and they're not necessarily going to be the worst teams. They're still not the best teams, so I don't think they necessarily get free wins all the time against the Pirates. So I'm going to put the Pirates at like 60 wins this season.
That's still 100 losses, though. That's
Yeah,
still
I mean,
bad.
I still think that they're going to have a terrible season, but I don't think that it's going to be below 58. I hope. I'm trying to be hopeful for the Pirates, and I think that they can take wins off of the Cubs, the Reds, the Cardinals, and the Brewers all.
They can, but they probably won't.
Yeah, I think their win-loss is going to be bailed out by the fact that they don't have like a huge powerhouse in their division.
Yeah. they won't get just slaughtered.
No.
Speaking of divisions with powerhouses, what are we talking about next? We only have one division left, eh?
Talking about the NL Best.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun episode.
Yeah. I think the most top-heavy division.
Yeah. Oh, easily. So, yeah.
Kind of a pretty big drop-off to like what's
Yeah.
under the top two teams there. But like arguably going to be very interesting to see.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
and
A
I think
lot
that there
of-
will be some interesting stuff to talk about in the next two teams after that. I mean, let's not.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's just one team that maybe that's interesting, like in a Pirates way.
Yeah,
Even more interesting than the
but
Pirates.
we'll get to that next week.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for listening. It's been a pleasure to have you, Ollie. Say bye to the people.
Bye to the people.
And Barney, please say something more mature.
Yeah, thanks everyone who's listening to us. Or I think we've like doubled the number of subs recently, which is awesome. Thank you for just taking the time to listen to us.
On the uppers.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
All right. All right.
Never say that again, please.
Never say that again. All right.
All
Thanks
right,
everyone.
thanks all.
See ya.
See you next time.
Bye.